What is up, guys? Welcome back to this tutorial. This is part 3, the final part. Hopefully you complete the last 2 successfully. Again, if you have any trouble with those, just DM on Instagram. I'll try to help you out. But yeah, welcome. Let's get this done. You know what I'm saying? There's not much left to do anyways. Before we get started, I'd love it if you guys click that subscribe button right there. Only takes a couple seconds. It helps me out. Especially if you want to see more videos. I mean, you might as well press that shit. You know what I'm saying? So let's load up our Blender files and let's get started. Alright, so this is where we left off last time. Let's get started. So we want to get started with the tongue. So press Shift C to bring the cursor back to the original point. And let's add in the cube real quick. This is going to be our tongue, so let's scale it down. Let's bring it forward a little bit so we can see what we're doing actually. Let's add a loop cut in the middle. And then, sorry, let me just turn this on real quick. So let's delete one side. We're going to mirror it as usual. So let's add a mirror modifier real quick. Where is it? Turn on clipping. Let's go into the side view. And let's add a loop cut right there to kind of extrude the tongue looking thing. So let's select this face and extrude it forwards. Something like that. Let's add a bunch of loop cuts in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect with this, to be honest. Let's turn on portion editing and we're gonna, well, you can choose whichever you want, whatever, you know, works for you. But yeah, let's scale it down. So I'm gonna stick with smooth and we're just gonna scale this down. And if you scroll up on your mouse, it will affect more like a larger area basically. So let's scale it, let's give it like a tongue type of feel, I guess. I don't know. Let's have the loop cut right here, select this edge, and let's pull these two forwards. Just to make it a little bit more pointy. Something like that. Again, it's got kind of like a lizardish tongue kind of type of thing. It's more narrow than it is wide. So we're just trying to go for that. Let's let this edge here. And I'm thinking we could just bring that down. Kind of give it a bit more thickness. And just bring these forwards a little bit. Kind of get a bit more rounded. You can double press G, by the way, to slide vertices. Or you can just move it along the Y. So we're gonna move this forwards. Let's select these, and we can kind of buff it up a little bit. Let's add a subdivision. Again, you should have a shortcut. Mine is Control number 1. Let's rename this tongue basically. Let's select this middle part and we kind of pull it downwards, just to kind of add a crease basically on the tongue. Again, we're trying to keep this as low poly as possible. At least that's what I'm going for. So let's go W shade smooth and see what that's looking like. It's looking like a tongue, which is pretty good. Nice and simple. You know what I'm saying? Let's just position it in the mouth somewhere. Let's select this front part and just shape it basically. We're going to be pulling it down. Make sure you have proportion editing turned on as well. Alright, so let's just rotate this jaw a little bit so we can see what that's looking like. Okay, let's drag this down a little bit just to kind of fill out the mouth a bit more. Not too much though, because I don't want it sticking out the jaw. In the tongue, we're going to bring in the rest of the body. By the way, link in description. Just go import it. So file, import, and select FBX. So yeah, this will take like 2 to 5 seconds. Nothing too long. But once it's in, it's going to be really small, as you can see. All you got to do is just scale it up. Don't click anywhere, just press S and scale it up basically. Something like that. Just keep going until you see it. And then we can move it down and then scale it to the right proportions. Make sure you position it using all angles. Let's just delete the head here. Before that, as you can see, it's very high detail. There's a lot of faces going on. And we don't need all of this. It's going to slow your computer down. You don't need it. Let's get rid of it. So let's add a decimate modifier up here. and you want to click unsubdivide. and then go up to 4 or whatever you want to. But I feel like 4 is good enough. So if you go to wireframe and type in 6 real quick, you'll be able to see what that would look like. As you can see, you do lose a lot of detail, obviously, because you're getting rid of all those extra faces. So let's go back down to 4, which looks like this, which I think is good enough, and let's just apply it. Now, as you can see, there's a lot fewer faces, and we can easily delete the head. So press C, make sure you're in X-ray mode, and let's just select like the head area, and we're gonna get rid of that, like so. I feel like that's good enough, and then just delete it real quick. There we go. Now we have a torso and the rest of the body and a neck. Now let's position it back somewhere over here, and the same step as before, just scale it and position it to wherever you like. So now we can get rid of this neck that we made earlier. That was just a placeholder. There we go. Just move this forward a little bit. Maybe move it down. Something like that. Again, it's all going to come down to personal preference, how you want it to look, etc. But I think I'm going to come in here and start sculpting a little bit just to fix the neck. It's kind of bothering me a little bit. So let's go into sculpt mode. And then press T to bring up the tools along the side. And make sure you're using the grab brush if you want to do this step, or you can press G as well to bring it up. And then let's turn on mirroring on the top right here. Press X, and I'm gonna just fix this real quick. Shouldn't be too long. All right, let's go to this area here a little bit. Hold down Shift and then just left click. That will flatten it out, something like that. There we go. We're family friendly over here. But yeah, I might just tweak areas a little bit here and there. I'll probably speed this part up. You don't really see it, but yeah. Now I can exit out of sculpt mode and then save. Don't forget to save your project. Let's bring everything back / and see how that's looking. Hey, that is looking really good. It's coming up. It's coming together. It's coming together pretty well. I don't know, something feels off though. There's like a scale. I feel like his head is way too big. I don't know. I'll probably have to pull this down a little bit. I'll scale it up. Ooh. I'll probably, I don't know. Let's scale it up because I feel like the head is way too big. So let's bring this down a little bit and then scale it up. Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. That's fixed it. Let's bring that back up. That's all it was. Again, you can experiment as well. Don't be afraid to. If something feels like or looks wrong, just change it. I'm happy with that right now. Again, let's save again. Looks really good. Cool. Now let's select everything by pressing A and then let's bring it up. Just up to the origin point, basically. There we go. You don't have to do that, but it's just kind of nice to have everything up so that, you know, when you import it or export it, it comes out looking the way you left it. Of course, right now there's 0 materials on here. So if you go into rendered view, as you can see, there's nothing going on. So let's start with the skin. Let's select that. Add a new material. Name it skin. And let's open up a new panel. So let's just drag down here. And go here to the top. Drop down menu and select shader editor. Let's come in here. Let's see. So let's select subsurface color. Let's go like a reddish color for now. If you zoom in, and let's turn on subsurface. So the way to explain subsurface is kind of like a translucency. You know how like when you shine a light through your ear, it goes red. That's what subsurface is, basically. So the light is bouncing inside the skin, if that makes sense. So that's the same look we're going to try to achieve. Let's go Shift A to add a color ramp Shift A search and then search for color ramp. Let's just zoom in here for a little bit. I'll just isolate away. Let's control copy here and copy and control V to paste. And here let's go. Basically we want to add a few different tones, so like some blues, some reds, some tan-ish colors. Just to make the skin a bit more interesting to look at, a bit more detail basically. So I'm gonna just pick some random colors and then I'll probably fix it up a little bit in a minute. Something like that. Let's plug this in here. Let's see what that's looking like. Right now it's pink. Don't worry about the color. Let's add in the noise texture. Like I said, we can edit the whole colors later on. So yeah, bring in the noise texture. Plug the FAC. And then let's just scale this up. Just choose like a big number. We're just trying to go for like some dotted texture basically. So I'm gonna just change these colors again. And the pores as well, it serves as like little pores. So let's click here, let's change this color to a bit more of a tan. Something like that. It's getting there slowly. It looks pretty good. Again, you can control these settings yourself to get whatever you're happy with. But so let's add in a color ramp, another one. Yes, let's move this back. Let's plug this into the color ramp, and we're gonna use this as the glossy. We're gonna use it as the roughness map. Right now it's looking a bit way too shiny, like it just did a whole workout. So let's reduce that a little bit. Let's pull this back. You can see it's kind of giving us that effect, that kind of spotty effect. So let's bring that down to something like that. And again, I'm gonna say again, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing, but just give you a general idea. Let's add in a bump map because we want that texture as well. Even though personally I don't like realism, I'll go for more like a stylized look. I mean, that's partly because my laptop can't really handle it, but anyways, I like the stylized look. So you don't have to do this either, but yeah, let's just go with it. Make sure you plug it into the height, by the way. Don't plug it into the strength. So now as you can see, it looks like a bad case of acne, but just pull that back a little bit. And we're going to bring the scale up as well, because it's way too big. So let's bring its strength back up and then let's play with the scale. Instead of 200, let's go 500. See how that's looking. Let's go 800. It might be hard to tell on video, but I can see exactly what's going on. You can see we've got these tiny little bumps. I mean, you could go even smaller if you want to. Let's play with the distortion a little bit. Again, honestly, just play around with all these scales. Go and you will be left with something like this. Hit that like button for making it this far, so far. Hope you guys are enjoying this. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Got a noise texture. And then that's going into a color ramp with a bunch of different colors. Some blues, some reds, some more yellowy colors. Tans and all that. That's going into the base color of the principled. Then we have another color ramp here, which the noise texture is going into, and that's controlling the roughness. And that's plugged into the bump as well. So yeah. So now let's just apply that to the face. So after you've done that, let's just add a new material. And let's rename it teeth, because obviously you want the teeth to have a separate material. Like so. So now let's just select all the teeth. So we can select the jaw. So press L. And then press Ctrl I to invert the selection. And then click assign. So now the teeth have their own material basically that we can play around with. So right now they're a bit too boring looking. So let's just play with the roughness a little bit. And let's add in a some sort of texture. Let's go, I don't know, I'm thinking more like a wave texture might work. Where is that? Let's see. Again, we're just experimenting, but let's just try this out. Let's plug that into roughness. Okay. If you have node wrangler turned on, just control left click or control shift left click and it will show you what's happening. Let's press control T to bring up a mapping node and a texture coordinate. And let's scale along the X. Something like that. So the lines are going vertically. Yeah, that looks alright. Let's go to distortion and play with it a little bit. Okay. It's getting somewhere. I don't know where, but it's going somewhere. Maybe play with the scale a bit more. I don't know what this does, to be honest. I don't even know. That looks alright. Not too bad. So let's press control shift left click on the principled to see what's happening. And I think we need to add a color ramp, which I forgot to do. So let's do that real quick. Or a bot map. Let's add in a color ramp. So I'm not sure why these black lines keep showing up. Let's play with this black. Let's make it a bit more gray. Ah, there we go. So select the black on the color ramp and just make it more of a grayish color. Something like that. Alright, so let's plug it into the bump, the height of the bump map. And then just plug the bumpy normal. Okay, and then we can bring the height, the strength down a little bit. Let's play with this a little bit. And now all we have to do is add the same material to the top teeth. So just select the teeth like so, just press L while you're hovering over them. And then make sure you have the teeth material loaded up and then just click assign. And now let's just add a bit of a gradient to the teeth. So just play with the color ramp, pick two colors that you want. I went with like a greenish yellow dark colorish thing. And just pull this back until you get something like. I also threw in a gradient texture in between it. So then we can just play with the scale here until we get something we like. So all it is a gradient texture connected to a color ramp, basically. Okay. And now this looks pretty good, but I'm thinking I'll probably have to let's just rename this teeth top. I'm gonna make 4 different materials for the teeth so that I can adjust them accordingly, if that makes sense. So let's press this duplicate button here and let's rename this one top or just teeth molar. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's just save. Don't forget to save. Come on now. Alright, I'm liking that so far. It's giving me the effect that I was going for, if that makes sense. Now let's do the same thing with the bottom. Alright, so after that, you should get something like this. And you should have 4 different teeth materials. 2 for the top and 2 for the bottom. So now I'm thinking we can just make the inside of the mouth red. So let's just select that all real quick. There we go. Select every single face you can, or the inside ones as well. And we're going to add a new material. And then click assign. And don't forget, select like as much area as you can or as you want, basically. Wherever you want the material to be, just select that and then click assign. Alright, so here we have our node set up for the inside of the mouth. It's pretty simple. We just have a principal shader. And then we have a bump map attached to it. And a noise texture connected to that bump map. To be honest, you don't really need the color ramp in the middle, but I kind of have OCD with that. But yeah, there you go. And to get the last 2, just select the noise texture and press Ctrl T. And then you will get your mapping node and texture coordinates. Alright, so after all of that, you end up with something like this, which looks pretty good. Nice and simple as well, got that kind of weird skinish texture. But yeah, now all you have to do is apply the same material to the roof of the mouth. Alright, so for the eyes, we're going to have to make 3 different materials. So let's go to rendered view. Let's start with our first one. And by the way, this red hue thing, that's just from the HDRI, it's not actually anything. So if I change it to a different one, you'll see it's changed. But we do want that kind of fade. We do want that kind of gradient. So let's go Shift A, add in a gradient node. Let's kind of move it to the side here, in between, like so. And then let's plug the gradient into the color ramp, and then let's play with the colors here. So let's go from a dark red to white, and we'll just play with this basically. So let's plug this in. Let's select the gradient and press Ctrl T. By the way, Node Wrangler is turned on as an add-on, and we're just gonna play with the settings and want it going from. Oh, and by the way, don't worry about this side. That's just from the mirror operation. We can turn that off or delete it and then duplicate the eye. But anyways, yeah, you can see the gradient right now is going from left to right. We want to go in from back to front. So let's just play with these settings real quick. There we go. That looks pretty good. You can still tweak a little bit. So let's add a new material, and let's name this Pupil. I think that's the right one. Kind of the colored area basically. So let's select all of these like so. Probably up to there, I'm thinking. Let's click assign. Now let's set this one up. This one's going to be a bit more, what's the word, a bit more sophisticated. Let's select these middle ones here, and let's add a new material and call it iris. And this one's just going to be a black shader basically. Let's assign that. Let's go to Pupil, which is all of these ones basically, and let's set it up. So same thing as before. We can go in here actually and copy this, Ctrl C and then Ctrl V to paste. Let's plug that in. But let's just change everything basically. Just press backspace to clear all of this, just to put everything back to 0. And then let's make it go from like a green, something like that, and then it's going to fade into a black. So let's click here, make it black, because I want it to fade into the other material, which is the iris, if that makes sense. And let's click here in this drop down menu and go spherical. There we go, you can see, so it's getting there. Now let's just play with these settings. So let's go to front view and let's start tweaking. I'll just line this up with the front view. And let's go over here and press Ctrl Shift left click and press Ctrl Shift. This will basically show us what the node is doing, how the node is affecting the material. So if you see black and white, that's what you're meant to see. Now we can start tweaking and we'll be able to see in real time what's happening. Now let's come up here to the texture coordinate and plug in object. Now you can see it's fading from the sides towards the middle. And then we can just play with the scale. Kind of make it even, as you can see. Just try to make as even as you can, basically. So keep it around the same number. Or the exact same, but actually, if you want to be precise. Let's go minus 2.1. Something like that. There we go. So now let's go back to the principal shader and press Ctrl Shift left click. Or just plug it back into the output. And now let's just play with the green and the black. Something like that. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And if you don't want to see all these lines and stuff, just come up here to overlays and just turn it off. So now you're still in edit mode, so you can still select faces, but you just don't have none of the lines kind of in the way. To kind of glow, have like a glow on them, so we can just plug this into the emission of the principal. So now they will glow basically. Kind of have like having a light in your eyes. So let's go Shift A, texture, and let's add a Voronoi. You just want to add a bit more detail to the eye. Let's go to, I don't know, Euclidean. You can just pick anything really. Again, depending on what you're going for, you won't have to do this. This will be unnecessary for me because at the end of the day, I'm probably gonna go with like a stylized look. But I mean, even then, if you want to add a bit more detail, let's go. Let's play with the scale a little bit. Something like that. but I want it to be kind of like a ring rather than these little bumps, you know. So let's move all this back and let's plug the gradient into there. There we go. That's giving us the ring look that I was going for. Let's go Shift A, add a color ramp. Color ramp is kind of more, the way I think about color ramp is like a more or less slider. So the black and the white will be more or less, if that makes sense. That's how I like to use them basically. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Alright, so for the iris, let's select the pupil here. Let's copy all of these pretty much, except for the bump kind of area. So let's copy that and then paste it over here. And let's just plug it in. And all we have to do is just flip the colors. So instead of going from black to green, it will go from green to black, basically. Like so. And then just like before, just tweak with the settings a little bit. Something like that. Actually looks pretty cool in my opinion. And now let's make this black outline that kind of makes the eye pop a little bit more. So let's add that real quick. So let's select the eyes and the skull and press / to isolate them. There we go. Just need to add that line basically, that little area. So let's select the skull and let's select this inside row of faces here. Maybe not. I try to get like a clean one, something like that. That looks pretty good. Let's just duplicate that. Shift D, press P and selection. P is to separate, by the way. So now they're selected. Let's just bring it in a little bit more, like so. Let's select this. Let's add a loop cut, and then let's scale that in. So select the loop cut, and let's just scale it in a little bit, just to kind of take up a bit more space, so the eye doesn't feel so void, I guess. I don't know. So let's select these, and let's just pull that back along the Y. Something like that. So let's rename it eye.inside, or rename it whatever you want. It's gonna look much better once we add some materials to it. Let's just add a new material and then let's call it whatever you want. We're gonna call it inside and just make it black basically. Let's turn the roughness all the way up. I think that looks alright. It's kind of giving us the look we're going for. Let's just tweak it a tiny bit more. Let's make it a bit more sharp looking. And there we go. I think that looks much better with the little black area than without it. Kind of just makes the eyes pop a little bit more. Kind of separates it from the skull. Oh yeah, let's make this inside bit red also. And there we go. That looks pretty good. That's it there. Cool. Just press save. Alright, so before we finish off, here are all the material setups. I'm going to show you them one by one. So just pause the video and then copy them. Yeah. Okay, so I just added a bunch of lights here. Just kind of set it up how you want to set it up. I did this black background as well. But yeah, we're pretty much done with this whole video. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. I know it's a bit of a long one, but as usual, if you need any help with anything, just DM me on Instagram. I'll try to help you out. Subscribe, hit that like button. It's like 2 AM. I'm hella tired. I'm out.